Joseph Reserves takes the last video. First class, 1,000 days. Today, there will be a lot of randomness and a lot of fun. I'm not gonna ask you to like and comment during the video. Please, hit like on everything that has a like, including all the comments below. Hit that algo with all you got, friendo. Cheers to you. All right, let's burn through this list. It's time for Ponder Overdrive. The history of mankind, in many ways, is the history of silver and gold. These metals have been central to human development. From ancient civilizations to modern economies, here's a list of reasons why we've always been stacking it, and why these metals have a kind of timeless gravity. Number 1, rarity and beauty. Gold and silver are rare, but not too rare, making them ideal for accumulation. Their lustrous appearance has fascinated humans since prehistoric times. Gold doesn't tarnish, and silver shines like the moonlight. Oh, ChatGPT, you know just what to say. I like what it said about rare, but not too rare. That's about how I like my steak. Sorry, let me get a thumbnail in here real quick. All right, that's good. Not too rare, meaning the mines are all over the earth, giving everyone an opportunity to accumulate some, but not too easily. Also giving everyone a chance to recognize it as well. So when strangers arrive to trade, these beautiful minerals will be as recognizable as any other commodity. But unlike most other commodities, they don't spoil. So although you may not need another tribe's fish or vegetables that day, one may have looked upon some gold and silver in their cart and said, this would save me some time from maybe checking streams or smashing rocks. Plus, if people make long journeys and you don't trade with them, you could be opening yourself up to confrontation. So maybe you don't need any fish or vegetables, but they've hauled their cart a long way. And neither of us can understand what each other is saying. So at the very least, I'd probably take some of that silver and offer them some food and maybe something to drink. And if perhaps they had a lot of that yellow shiny stuff, I'd let them marry my daughter. Or somebody's daughter. Strong ties with tribes with lots of gold, well, that's just good business. I can catch a fish myself. And we got gardens too. And even if we had our own gold mine, is it ever enough? Or would you maybe want theirs as well? Amazing. Do you see the power of gold? I'm not even there, trading, but just thinking about it. I'm plotting on their gold. And why wouldn't I? Who doesn't want meat or fish that never goes bad? I travel with meat and fish. It rots before I get to the next city. I travel with gold. I can just buy some when I get there. And it's much less to carry. Gold is also lumber that takes up nearly no space and never rots. Gold is wine, more durable than in fragile clay vases. Gold is grain that never molds. And we all know it. We all may speak different languages, but we have silver and gold mines in our homelands. And their properties are rather self-evident to all. So let's move on to the second part of our list, why the history of mankind is the history of gold and silver, and how we've always been stacking it. Number 2, universally recognized value. Across every major civilization, Egyptians, Romans, Chinese, Aztecs, gold and silver were considered valuable. Even tribes with no contact with each other revered these metals, showing a kind of innate human instinct to value them. Yeah, the pondering from the first one kind of ran into that one. We've already really talked about that. So let's just quickly move on to number 3. Early money. Long before paper money, silver and gold were money. Coins were stamped with emperors' faces and traded across continents. Gold and silver were the original currency standards. They held purchasing power over centuries, regardless of regimes. Regimes reminds me of fiat, like the paper promissory notes, decreed to be valuable by fiat, which means ordered and declared valuable by kings, queens, Congress, presidents, leader of your little dirt tribe. They stand on a mound and declare, this is valuable, pay your taxes with this. Or we will cage you, hit you with a stick, or worse. And with the support of the tribes, why not? But could that same little chieftain or monarch stand on their dirt mound and decree that gold and silver are no longer valuable? I suppose so. If I were a lord under such a king, I would support that decree so that I could give myself the opportunity to build up my gold stores on the cheap, knowing my house would one day reemerge much more powerful once that little fool steps down. Because though they may be able to decree that seashells are money, that paper is valuable. I don't think it works the other way. Meaning, how could you decree that chickens aren't food? I guess it's been done with pigs. But how could you decree that lumber is not useful? How could you decree that grain is not edible? Like prohibition when you decree that wine and ale are not drinkable. You may get away with an unnatural order for quite some time, but eventually the natural order will snap back into place. This is just how I see it. Or maybe I should say this is how I see it, not just how I see it. I'm sure others see it the same way, of course. All right, let's just move on to number 4. Symbols of power and divine right. Kings wore crowns. Temples were adorned with silver and gold. Possessing these metals signaled divine favor, authority, and control from the pharaohs to medieval monarchs. Do you think that's not true today? Do you think that wearing a bunch of gold doesn't signal divine favor, authority, and control? We can see real-world applications of this without looking to monarchs. At least, not the ones that are obvious, like the King of England. But what if we went to the boroughs, to a rundown neighborhood with lots of violence and crime? You may see some characters wearing some real gold and gems. And they'll stand out because in these areas, average people certainly would not. It's too dangerous. So why is it not too dangerous for the ones flaunting this wealth? Well, somehow they have authority, control, or they are favored. Maybe even all three. Okay, so you don't want to go to one of those neighborhoods to see this in action? I don't blame you. Let's go to a nicer place. How about like a real jewelry store with real valuable jewelry? You know, like a place with in-house goldsmiths. Or a coin shop with lots of gold and silver on display. Those merchants have favor because they are licensed to be there and are often authorized to carry firearms even in states that don't respect the Second Amendment so well. And as far as control, well, that's always tested, but you'll find that many of these places have been there for generations. If in your travels, you should see a bunch of gold, silver, and gems, likely a dragon sees you. Sometimes people get lucky, but they're the exception, not the rule. All right, number 5 on our list of why the history of mankind is the history of silver and gold and how we've always been stacking it is portability of wealth. Gold and silver allowed people to carry their wealth in their hands, unlike land, livestock, or grain. During wars, famines, or exile, precious metals were often the only assets that could be taken and hidden. I myself enjoy portability of wealth. I haven't moved in a while, but still, I've got the option. Even if portability of wealth just acts as an insurance. It's great. Insurance from what? Well, obviously, you don't want your plot of land to end up in the middle of a battlefield, but there's other things. Our governing bodies can change the rules on us, or implement policies that we may find inhospitable. Or perhaps another land far away becomes great, and you wish to go there without a bunch of red tape. Then, portable wealth is key. I think as individuals, we really should be in more control of our wealth, meaning less counterparty risks, because how you implement your wealth is much more important than voting. If our local government should become unfair or even predatory or tyrannous, if wealthy people can leave, that takes the wind out of their sails. And it will likely exacerbate the repercussions of their bad decisions, bringing them to a head much quicker, kind of like a homeopathic treatment. I found that when people are down, you can try to convince them to get up, but as unorthodox and cruel as it may sound, I have found if you kick them while they're down, they quickly get up. I know, it's messed up, right? Oh, and if you knock somebody down, never kick them while they're down. You could end up with attempted murder added to your assault charge. Yeah, so don't literally kick someone while they're down. All right, we're digressing. Let's quickly move on to number 6. Banking and the gold standard. Early banks stored physical gold and issued receipts, the ancestors of paper money. The gold standard dominated global finance from the 19th to early 20th century. A dollar was once just a promise to pay in gold. This doesn't sound too trustworthy to me. It kind of reminds me of Kaiser Sose. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he did not exist. All right, so let's break this apart. It says early banks stored physical gold and issued receipts. Central banks exist today and are stockpiling gold and store gold. Do they issue receipts? Well, no. I think they just issue debt. So gold go in, gold no go out. The receipts this is referring to used to mean you would get a claim on the gold with a paper note, which was why it was ever worth anything to begin with. It says a dollar was once just a promise to pay in gold. Now it's a promise to pay with a promise. So the dollar is like that kid on that movie Bronx Tale who never had the $20. I promise I'll pay you tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. I promise I'll pay you. And somehow they made it so you can get bread with that. If that's not some sort of alchemy, I don't know what is. Making gold out of mere promises sounds much more lucrative than making gold out of lead. For one, promises are more abundant with a never-ending supply. All right, let's move on to number 7. Crisis hedge and wealth preservation. During hyperinflation, like Weimar Germany or Zimbabwe, people return to gold and silver as real money. In modern times, people stack silver and gold as a hedge against currency collapse, inflation, or geopolitical instability. All right, that while this narrative, true as it may be, I found has been beaten to death like a dead horse. If gold and silver were a book and you were to compare it to the Bible, this would be Revelation. There's a lot of doom and gloom, and it gets us engaged. There are countless content creators online who will take advantage of you in this emotional state and try to plug a bullion dealer so that you overbuy silver and gold. I would like us to be able to focus on the whole book of silver and gold and not just one chapter like some extremist. I'll admit, it's a fun mania, and there is truth to it. And if you're a prepper, don't think I'm so naive. I sit on a throne of canned goods, amongst other supplies. In fact, I'm so counterculture, I hedge with optimism. My doom and gloom scenario is, what if there's no doom and gloom? What if peace and trade commence? So I don't just prep for rainy days. I also prep for sunny days as well, and I assume there's going to be more sunny days than rainy ones. So if peace and trade commence, I want to have other assets that can grow with the economies and markets. If I stay in Mad Max mode too much or too long, it can compromise the growth of my overall asset value. So yes, inflation is happening. Hyperinflation can happen. There is war in the Middle East. Surprise, surprise. And politicians are crooks or incompetent. Who knew? So humans are human doing human things. That's the past, present, and will likely be that in the future. Yes, there is a lot of bad element. How much? I don't know. It could be the majority, but there's also a lot of good element. And that could also be the majority. What can I say with some certainty? I strongly suspect people will act in their own self-interest. Myopic, yes, they may be. I still think people prefer peace and trade over war and famine. Perhaps not during peace and trade times, because they have not yet seen war and famine. But I suspect if they get a glimpse, they'll tighten up pretty quickly. All right, this video is running kind of long, but I'm having too much fun to stop now. I'm peeking ahead on the list, and I think it's going to get better, actually. You're probably gonna want to hear this stuff. All right, so number 8, cultural and religious significance. From wedding rings to sacred chalices, these metals symbolize purity, eternity, and commitment in countless traditions. Many ancient and modern religions considered gold as a gift to the gods, or a representation of heaven itself. That immediately makes sense to me. Gold and money is often demonized. But when you think of heaven, what do you think of? Perhaps rejoicing and laughing with loved ones from the past. But I also think of abundance. People rejoicing over feasts and amazing architecture. And gold is a symbol of abundance. A hungry person doesn't need a gold coin. They need something to eat. A homeless person doesn't need a gold coin. They need shelter. It is not until our basic needs are met and we run a surplus that we look for assets to put that surplus into. And the most popular of those assets is gold. So chances are, if you're fortunate enough to see gold in a setting, the people are relatively happy and fed, similar to the depictions of heaven. And if you see gold and they are not, well, be careful. Someone likely has weapons. As far as the metals symbolizing purity, eternity, and commitment, I can't say I know many people that own gold without commitment. Even if they were not committed enough to earn it themselves, if it was given to them, chances are they can't hold on to it they sell it. And if they weren't committed enough to acquire it themselves, from what I've noticed, they don't get rid of it so easily. As far as purity, I immediately think of gold and especially silver's antimicrobial properties. A silver chalice, a spoon, or a fork, it just makes sense. I've even heard settlers in wagons would put a silver dollar in their milk container to keep it from spoiling. Yeah, maybe Google it. It kills microbes. That's why I think you should always spend extra cash on socks. The better socks have silver in them. They don't get crunchy or smelly by midday. If you work hard all day and you buy those cheap white socks, you may find that they're not as cheap as you think because you're always replacing them. I'm not selling socks. Maybe I should be. Spend the extra money if you already have not. You'll see. Put some of that purity on your feet. It'll be heavenly. I need some socks to sell. So what was the last thing? Eternity? Yeah, gold does represent eternity. It doesn't react with anything. That's why gold coins brought up from sunken ships hundreds of years ago look like they were just minted. All right, moving along. Number 9, industrial and technological demand, especially for silver. Silver is more than just a monetary metal. It is used in solar panels, electronics, and medicine. You see, there's that antimicrobial, but you already knew all that. This dual role, industrial plus monetary, makes silver stacking not just tradition, but future-proofing. Oh, it's making me like silver even more. I just love duality. Yeah, so silver is not just money, it's very useful. And from the looks of things, as time goes by, it just becomes more and more useful. All right, number 10, continuity through chaos. Empires rise and fall. Paper money gets burned or devalued, but gold and silver remain. That's why central banks still stack gold reserves and why the phrase sound money often means precious metals. All right, the last one, number 11. This is the one that I thought was very interesting. The stacker's instinct. Whether hoarding coins, jewelry, bars, or treasure maps, humans have a primal urge to accumulate precious metals. Call it survival, call it strategy, or maybe just call it an echo of a long history, but we've always been stacking. Join the pen pals. You can now write me at The Thousandaire Collector, 1700 Sullivan Trail, Suite 7, Box 111, Easton, Pennsylvania, 18040. Don't forget to include your info so I can put you on my mailing list. All right, let's see if I can breeze through this one. It's been time-consuming opening letters, logging everything, and making videos. It's fun, though, and I appreciate your generosity. But I don't expect it. You can send a letter with no treasure in it. That's fine. And I'll put you on my mailing list. First up, here's one out of Lubbock, Texas. It's a little heavy. There's some goodies inside. But let's show some class. Letter first. Dear Thousandaire Radio, thanks to your inspiring YouTube channel, this year I became a Thousandaire holder of 1 Mexican Centenario. And further, I have set the goal to collect an additional Centenario each year on my birthday. Well, that sounds pretty awesome. And I'd like to add, very nice handwriting. Enclosed are tokens of my appreciation. Quite literally, a San Francisco Mint bronze token and also a Mercury dime of unknown vintage since the last digit on the date is nicked. Cheers for now, friendo. Joe. I think a Centenario purchase is a big deal. I think a 1-ounce gold purchase is a big deal, especially these days. And a Centenario, that's 20% more of a big deal. It's one thing to save up the cash. It's another to hand over that dinero for those pesos. It's not easy. Congratulations, Joe, and happy birthday. This looks pretty sweet. I've had copper on my mind. I think bronze is copper. Let me Google it. 88% copper, 12% tin, typically. This is nice. Has a nice tone to it. Thank you so much, Joe. Again, congratulations on your Centenario. I'm really digging the copper. I'm getting quite a pile of it. And here's Joe's Mercury dime. I think whenever we see it in the pile or the jar, we'll know it's Joe. This nicked Mercury dime reminds me how the Romans used to clip their coins. It's like a little nicked denarius. We will ceremoniously add this to the Merc stash later. All right, next up, here's one out of Eaton Rapids, Michigan. The letter inside somehow got glued to the envelope. My attempt at perfect incisions was reduced to clumsy, frustrated lacerations. Nevertheless, here we go. Hey, Thousandaire. I just wanted to drop a quick line from one stacker to another. Your videos have been a solid part of my silver journey. Equal parts education, entertainment, and I think I need just 1 more ounce. Yeah, it can get like that. You've got a way of talking silver that keeps it real without diving into doomsday. I appreciate that. Too many folks out here act like they're bullion whisper economic prophecies at night. He said it, not me. I just read the letters. I read all the letters. I'm kidding. I've said stuff like that. He continues. Me? I'm just trying to stack a little shinier future, one coin at a time. It's wild how addictive this hobby can be. First, it's a few rounds. Then, it's constitutional. Then, you start judging every dollar you spend by how much silver it could have got. Got a Starbucks drink the other day and thought, I just spent 2 mercury dimes. LOL. Anyway, thanks for keeping it fun and grounded. You're building more than just a YouTube channel. You're building a vault of wisdom for the rest of us stackers. Here's another Merc for your fellow sub. Keep stacking, keep shining. Logan from Michigan. Thanks for the letter, Logan. It was a real ego booster. It feels good to know that I'm having a positive effect on some. I gotta make up for all those times I convinced people to take a shot of liquor. You're so right about comparing silver to everything you buy. I even use that for other investments. If I think I can buy something and it will return more silver and gold than if I just bought the silver and gold, then I'll give it a shot. I think silver and gold make a nice reference point when I venture out and invest in other assets. Or if I'm wasting it on consumables that I could have just made myself for much less. It's not about either or thinking. Most often, you can have both. You can have your coffee and drink it too. All right, here's one out of Holiday, Florida. Sounds like a nice place. Holiday, Florida. All right, we got some goodies in here. Nice. And it looks like we have a card with a cardinal. Let's see what it says. Oh, look, it has a promissory note. Dear Thousandaire, high energy videos and great enthusiasm for stacking. Saw your latest. Here are some more foreign coins and some high inflation currency from Turkey. Like your idea of the mercs for each sub. Good luck, Adam. P.S. Excuse the card. Left over from the holidays. I just asked ChatGPT, has Turkey had hyperinflation, and if so, when? It said Turkey has had high inflation, but not high enough to be classified as hyper. And then it gave me a list of years it's had high inflation. It could have summarized by just saying all the time. All right, looks like we got some modern foreign coins here. Here's a 5 pence, I assume is from the United Kingdom. And I'm assuming this modern pence has about the same melt value as that Turkish note. Okay, let's see what we got here. 10 euro and Canadian cents, and the UK 5 pence, which I just looked up. It's nickel-plated steel. Before 2011, it was 75% copper, 25% nickel. And if you remember from the last episode, before that, it was sterling, 92.5% silver. The fact that they put such a nice security edge on a steel coin, I think adds extra insult. Why would anyone clip a steel coin? They think that most of us have a low IQ. It's true these days, many transactions are digital, so there may be less need for cash. But from what I've learned about digital currencies, and currencies in general, you need a scarce base layer. But apparently you don't. Thanks for the coins and currency, Adam. I appreciate it. Cool stuff. The corner of this letter was already ripped out. You see this? I'm beginning to question the integrity of some of our public servants. I'm just kidding. I've questioned that for quite some time. But if we can't fire them and we have to pay them, who's really serving who? Here's one out of Columbia Heights, Minnesota. Ooh, that's an eye catcher. A golden merc. All right, let's keep it classy. Letter first. Such an eye catcher. All right. Hey there, friendo. I am one of your thousandaires. Love your videos. I started collecting Morgans and peace dollars each week. It's beginning to be a habit I really enjoy. I have always loved the Merc. They call me the Merc guy at the LCS. So it was hard for me to give up one. But I had to do my part as a thousandaire. It's gold-plated. It also had a stone, but I didn't like it. So here's my Merc to help with the deficit. Your friendo, David. Another Merc for the pile. I won't add it to it yet, but we can take a look. She'll definitely stand out. I appreciate the Merc, David. Thank you. That's what you say when people give you things. Thank you. Don't quickly rush to give them something back. There's plenty of time for that. Enjoy the gift, and let them enjoy the fact that you enjoy it. I look forward to seeing this little gold dime sparkle in that jar, standing out from her many sisters. Gratitude, pen pals, for taking the time to send me a letter. I'm a stacker, but that's not all. I consider myself an investor, first and foremost, with a preference to non-counterparty risk. I know, the mask, it's strange, but we're about to look at some graded comic books. They're very reflective. I would like to avoid a face reveal, at least for now. Yeah, so non-counterparty risk assets, tangible goods, and Bitcoin. I control my Bitcoin. It's not on an exchange. I control it solely, so it's kind of tangible. Why my sudden interest in comic books? It's simple. I believe in them long term, and the market is down on them big time. I saw Last Boy Scout in the theater. It was pretty awesome at the time. Maybe still is. I may just watch it again soon. Did you know Lobo, he killed Santa Claus? Not because he wanted to. He was hired by the Easter Bunny. Frankly, I'm surprised it took so long for Santa Claus to get it, him being a home invader and all. Don't be naive. Santa was no slouch. He put up a good fight. My grandmother did not like Santa Claus. And apparently, neither did the Easter Bunny. He was jealous of Santa's dominance over the holiday season. Times, they sure have changed. I think Halloween is taking over as the dominant holiday. I've always wanted this book in a high grade. I'm sorry, but my grandmother didn't like Santa, so I don't like Santa. That's just how it is sometimes. I can't remember exactly why. I think it was maybe because he redirected attention from Jesus' birthday to products like soda pops. And when I think about him myself, he's definitely suspect. I think Santa and Satan are basically the same word, just two letters are switched around. He comes down the chimney, unaffected by fire. He puts people's kids on a list. I'm not saying he should have died. I'm just saying I'm not surprised. Anyhow, with the market down, I'm investing in comic books. I do have a bias toward things I like, which is good because if there's no price action for quite some time, I can enjoy them on my wall. Now, I'm not saying that you should buy comic books. I'm not saying you should buy anything, but I like showing you what I'm doing, so maybe you can understand the thought process and perhaps you'll be inspired. 2, if you have already not, broaden your horizons a bit. And I know comic books are really an abstract way of investing. It's very niche. And though I'm talking about comic books, I'm really just talking about collectibles. So there may be other markets that are distressed that you would enjoy more than this and still possibly profit from. In fact, what I just unboxed, it's not a comic book. It's silver. 1 troy ounce of silver. Stretched out into, I guess you could say, a giant card the size of a comic book. These are official Marvel and with a limited mintage of 1,000. You can see this one is 962. On the obverse, we have artwork printed on the silver from the official Marvel archive. It's printed in the original dimensions of Spider-Man #1. There are parts on the cover where the silver shines through. Some use this beautiful effect more than others. And when I say others, I mean there are different ones made each year, 4 different ones. I believe these collectibles began in 2018. The Spider-Man #1, this is from 2023. And I purchased it with a perfect 10 grade from CGC. I believe these silver comic book covers are an insanely heating up market. This particular collectible meets at the crossroad of comic books, cards. The card market's really hot right now. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I don't like chasing hot markets. Anyhow, the third thing, it's a piece of silver. And I think I can say without a doubt, it's the most premium silver I have. Go on eBay, search 1 ounce silver CGC, and just browse through them every so often. Like go back week after week and check it out and kind of get your own synopsis of the market. If you like comic books, like me, and silver and gold like me. Oh, by the way, they make these in gold. I don't think either of us will ever get our hands on one. The 1 ounce gold foil cards are limited to 10, not 1,000. If you manage to see one on eBay or an auction site where someone's selling it, they want 15 times the price of gold and they're not negotiating. I left that last one wrapped in bubble wrap. If you couldn't see it, it was just another Spider-Man #1 silver foil. I bought multiples, and I got them for about $200 each. Probably a little under $200. If it was over, not much. Tax, shipping, I'm talking about, that's how much it cost total. In the silver and gold stacking world, we say silver and gold are money, not investments. Well, these collectibles I'm showing you are investments. So if you do follow me in this world, tread lightly, because the floor can fall out from underneath us and we can plummet to zero. Kind of like that annoying ring light that I'm probably not going to use again. With that being said, the possible gains, hundreds of percents, sometimes even thousands. Like my Bitcoin people keep making fun of me for having. For years. Check my old videos. I never delete them. I'll tell you what they don't make fun of. The extra gold and silver that I purchase with my profits. I've said this time and time again. My job sucks. I work for pittance because I spent 10 years or so drinking. No more. I got lots of catching up to do. But if you saw me at my job, you would likely not think I have the asset value that I do have. And I'll tell you, it's significant. I spend lots of time researching assets. I pay attention to markets and news, though I don't talk about it because I believe too many people do already. But I do use that information to kind of get an idea of the macro environment. And with comic books, I actually pay attention to pop culture news. I never would have believed that could be practical. Your typical comic book people, they don't usually like people like me. Yeah, I enjoy listening to the stories and stuff. And eventually, I can recycle the hearsay and BS them into thinking I'm one of their own. Especially nowadays with online resources and most recently, AI. I could even appear to be more of them than them themselves. But I'm a capitalist, and I'm here to extract the wealth. I do like Lobo, but I see an opportunity in this character right now. He'll be hitting the big screen in 2027. And when the movie trailers come out, I shall be selling into the hype. I hope you enjoyed the comic book talk. You were privy to it, friendo. This is for the Thousandaires. I don't particularly enjoy the comic book community so much, so I don't title my videos for them. And remember, if you want to get into this market, move slow. It can be very profitable, but it's dangerous. You better sub for more if you want more. Don't leave it to chance.